And call to order.
And
And
roll call.
roll call.
All right, Mrs.
Mrs. Grove,
Ms. Joy,
Mr. Malkowski, absent. Mrs. Lebudzik,
Here.
Mrs. Lammel.
Here.
Can we mute that over? I think it's the
I was
speakers.
just gonna add.
Mrs. Petropoulos
Here.
and Mrs. Sulzer. Absent. Pledge.
I'd like to stand to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so I'd like to have an introduction of guests. I think we have.
Yes, so here with us tonight is Corey from Studio GC. We also have our admin team here, as well as Allison Mallow from Korea. We have Phil and Sam from our custodial staff. And as always, we have Gino in the back. So I think
It's Tears is Microsoft.
it's your speaker.
Wait, where's my speaker?
Yep. Thank you.
All right, so we can move to 2.0.
Okay,
2.0.
2.0 donation to the district.
This is actually a really, really exciting donation. Gina Decker, elementary special education teacher at Ridge Central, had found what they call the Amazon Clears the List, where teachers are able to go in and put things in for their classroom. And she had math games on there, reading games, books, decorations, LED writing tablets, like just awesome things that total a little over $1,000. And someone anonymously comes in and clears the list and buys every single thing for that class. So that happened right before break there in December. And so we needed to get that approved by the district. So really, really awesome for our students, and really appreciate that she took the time and effort to do that. So if we can get a motion to approve that donation. Mrs. Lammel,
Aye.
Mrs. Lebudzik,
Aye.
Ms. Joy, Mrs. Grove, and Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye. Moving on to 3.0, the approval of the consent agenda.
We're looking for a motion.
I will make the motion to approve consent agenda.
Mrs. Lebudzik,
Aye.
Mrs. Grove, Ms. Joy, Mrs. Lammel,
Aye.
and Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye. Okay, moving on to 4.0, the superintendent's report.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. It is 6:34. Wanted to wish everyone a happy new year. It's our first meeting. It seems like it's been quite a while since we have met. It's been almost a month here. So we have a few things to share with you today. Nothing we think that's going to be too lengthy. Just have some things we wanted to update you on. First, as always, we have the PTA report. The PTA, our next meeting is actually February 1st at 6:30 here at Findlay Junior High. Our next fundraiser was actually supposed to be the Dine and Donate with Culver's on January 26th, which is always a big one for us. Unfortunately, the PTA received the call today that just like everybody else, the pandemic has impacted it, and they can't guarantee enough staff for that event. So they have had to postpone it for this time. I know they've reached out to Panda Express and are kind of waiting to hear back if they're going to be able to fill that date. But just like everybody else, we're facing that as well. Enrollment is up again. We're up 18 more students this month than last, and 14 more students than this time last year. And that's kind of what a lot of districts in the area are seeing. Numbers just kind of trickling up a little bit. I know last year there was a lot of people who homeschooled, some who pulled people into private schools in all of the Chicago area, and districts are starting to get trickle back some of that. So something we continue to watch for as we move forward. For our 4.3 vacant positions and possible staffing needs, included in your packet is the list of all the ones that we're still looking for, constantly looking for custodian subs, substitutes, many of those positions. And then I just wanted to give you an update for right now. At the last meeting in December, the board approved the posting of a curriculum director and a data position. We currently have 2 applicants for the data position, and we are up to 10 applicants for the curriculum director position. We will be sending out kind of what that interview process is going to look like, as well as starting to call some people and make some screener phone calls. We're excited. Some of them look very, very qualified candidates. 4.4, our strategic plan administrative action goal. This is one where I'm actually going to share my screen. Remember in December, we all spent the weekend together formulating our different areas for the strategic plan, our 5 areas that we came up with. As soon as that meeting was done, our admin team began working on the action plan for that. And you'll find that in your packet, but I also wanted to kind of just do a very brief overview for the public and so that you could just see everything as well. I haven't had to share my screen in a long time, so I hope this works. Yeah. It's not sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. If anyone wants to help me out on this, like I have not shared a screen in. All right. So I allowed participants to do it. Green, the big green button. That is the only one that's green. That's great. All right. There we go. Now I just have to find how to play this. Perfect. All right. So we have our strategic for the next 5 years for Chicago Ridge. And I think the key and something that I really appreciate about Dr. Madonia's vision for this is it's not something we got together, we feel all proud we did it, and we hope we're going to do well. This is something that we continually evaluate and set goals. And every single January, we will be coming back as a group, and our admin team will be presenting to the board exactly where we are in meeting those goals. We'll ask the partners who helped us create it to come back in and be a part of that. But that's a really, really important part of this process. So if you remember, our focus areas were finance and buildings, curriculum and student outcomes, human resources and professional development, student needs, and technology. So again, for the action plan, we'll have a yearly presentation, and usually it won't be me, it will be the people in the different areas who are setting it up. We ask our partners to provide constant feedback and guidance, and the plan is something that's each year. Although those stay as our 5 focus areas, the goals are going to change and be updated, as well as the actions that need to be done to get there. I kind of already shared this. It's just so important to continue to update because we've all done stuff at our work where I'm sure you put all this time and effort into it and you just never see it again. And it's very, very frustrating. I just love this sign. You're at the crossroads of the present, the past, and the future. All really important things to understand as a school district. What got you here? Why are you currently here? And what are your goals for the future? So I think that's really just a great sign for this process. Our focus area teams will be meeting to review progress throughout the year. And I'm going to kind of go through now the different goals and the action plans. So in finance and buildings, goal number 1, and remember, 1 and 2 are interchangeable. Does not mean one will be worked on any quicker or is more important, but we just number them so that it's a little bit easier to follow. So goal 1 was explore additional space options for the instructional program. We're going to continuously look at what we have. You saw when I shared what our enrollment was, always looking, even when you start seeing kindergarten numbers, you're projecting out many, many years in the future to understand what it could look like by the time that kindergarten, 1st grade and 3rd grade is now your junior high. So those are all things that you really try to look at. Determine existing space that can be reallocated. We talked about that in some of our plans of exactly how we're going to be able to do that, as well as explore new opportunities, expand instructional and storage spaces. We've talked about how crucial that is, that you can't just take away storage and just pretend like it's not going to be a problem. You have to find other areas to use that. And then goal number 2, improve internal and external security features, protocols across the school district. Really, we need to get a good handle, and I feel like we have a decent handle, but what needs to be updated both indoor and outdoor in terms of security features. And then what is reasonable? What can we get done? What big changes need to be made versus some small tweaks we can make right away? And then our continuous collaboration with local law enforcement and other agencies. I feel like our district has a really good relationship. I just talked to through email to the new chief once the new year started to kind of continue that dialogue, and we feel very comfortable with our relationship with them. Curriculum and student outcomes. And this was one of the pictures we got, so I thought I'd throw that on there because that was our curriculum and student outcomes table. So goal 1 was identify and implement best practice curriculum across the school district. The action plan is really to research best practices and inventory what we have right now. It's important to understand what we have, what's working, what is not working very well, and how we can improve on that. Create a profile of what a graduate from here should look like. And I've seen that in other districts, and I think it's very powerful. When you have a student leave here in 8th grade, what is it that they need to know? And what do we want them to look like? And backtrack that all the way to the start of pre-K and kindergarten. Research evidence-based best practices, and then understand which of those best practices fit our district. That's also very, very crucial. And then collecting data regarding the effectiveness of best practices. We can put in best practices and we can train everybody and do everything, but if we're not continuously looking to see if that's working for our kids, we're not doing it right. And then it still continues for this action plan. There's a lot to get done. Create a guidebook for best practices and curriculum instruction to ensure cohesiveness and high expectations. And I hope we heard that word very clearly, that it's not, you must be teaching this page on this day, and this is, but a guidebook for best practices. And then providing professional development and coaching that aligns to the district's best instructional practices. And I would say that's probably been my biggest frustration this school year. Just the lack of professional development we've been able to provide in other areas just because of the lack of time with everything else going on. But I'm pretty sure during this 5-year strategic plan, we're not going to be in that same situation we find ourselves right now. So, yeah. Goal number 2, research and develop a viable curriculum across subjects, grades, and provide professional development for effective staff implementation. This goes along with some of the work we have already begun with a guaranteed and viable curriculum. And really, again, as I talked about, inventorying our current instructional things that we have around our district already. And I think this is going to be really crucial when we look and do interview questions for our curriculum director. This is where we want to get to. So it's going to be really crucial that we find someone who's able to get us there. Human resource and professional development. Goal number 1 was in an effort to recruit and retain staff, explore a competitive compensation package. And the action plan is really making sure that it's equitable salary and benefits for all of our new hires and our current staff. Make sure we really have a good handle on what the surrounding areas provide. And then create down the road incentive-based opportunities for all staff that would hopefully help out as well. And then goal number 2, hire and retain a diverse staff that addresses the needs of the students, and really just kind of making sure we're attracting and retaining people that we want to have here. I do believe that this is a great place to work. We have awesome staff here, and we want to continue to build on that. And really continuing to strengthen our new and existing partnerships with colleges and universities. I tell our administrators all the time, if you have an opportunity to get a student teacher, please try to make sure we pair them up with someone who wants one, because we have found if you can build those relationships with someone, that's a really good way to bring in some solid new teachers. So we had, I know we had a junior high special ed one just start today with Mr. Lynch. So very excited. Our student needs, goal number 1, create a culture advocating for the social and emotional well-being of students. The action plan, one of the best things we can do is really talk to the students. As adults, so many times we come up with these grand plans when if we talk to the students and really had an understanding of how they were feeling and what they needed, that would save us a lot of time. And as well as seek community partnerships to provide activities for students. We've talked about, we're part of the Partnership for Resilience, and we've seen some really good things from there. and then we've seen it kind of die down, and they have some new leaders, and we're hoping to see that come up, but we're always looking for ways to partner in the community. And then goal number 2, structure a multi-tiered student support system, MTSS, that supports all learners. We really need to figure out which framework is going to be best for our district, and kind of determine where we are currently. We know this is an area that we need to improve, but what areas are we okay in, and what areas do we need a whole revamp? And then really defining the roles and responsibilities, as well as the expectations of everyone involved in MTSS. And then finally have a review process to see how that's going for the students. And then technology, goal number 1 was plan and organize the one-to-one student device replacement program. And this is just kind of an action plan of ways to do that. We've talked about making sure we have a 3-year replacement cycle. And in the future, kindergarten, 3rd, and 6th grade will be given those new devices. And then so they would have it kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd. They would get a new device for 3rd, and then they'd have it 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Then they'd get one when they entered 6th grade as well. And then kind of continuing, just kind of making sure we are organized a little bit more. And this has no, I'm not saying that in any way for our tech team now. They were pretty much told, get these devices out and make sure they're working properly and don't break down too much. With really, just get them done now. So we know we need to collect them back. We need to get them organized. We have a plan for that. We just need a time when we can actually get them back from the students to do that. And then for goal number 2, develop a new student information system to streamline access. Teacher ease has not, I would say, not been our friend in talking with the state system, and just really puts out errors that when we look at it are not wrong, but it doesn't talk to all the systems we need. So right now we are meeting with both Power School and Skyward to really kind of see what would be most effective. But it's a huge change for everywhere from the office, for the administrators, for the secretaries, to the teachers. When you change a student information system, that's a big change. And we want to make sure we make the correct one. And then just kind of continuing that, it talks about getting professional development for people to make sure that they understand how that is going to work. And really the rollover usually happens over the summer, and because there are usually some bugs. Anytime you switch over a system that large, there are going to be some bugs, but that's something we want to take care of. And my last slide is, I love this quote, and this is from Dr. Madonia, but it's, let's continue to imagine the possibilities of the strategic long-range plan. This is a 5-year plan, and I'm really excited to get it started. The board will be asked to approve it later in the meeting tonight. And I just wanted to thank you for your work on it, as well as everyone in the audience and listening online who was a part of that. So any questions? Yeah, I thought the admin did a really nice job on a very short turnaround to be able to have the majority of it done before we went on break. But I think it's because we've been talking about it so much that we're ready to jump right in. So, all right, next is 4.5, our One District, One Book. We're really excited to launch this again. We did it last year for the first time. We have one little change this year. Last year we did the Lemonade Wars, and at the elementary level, I felt that the kids were very excited. Junior high, not as much. So this year we talked to the junior high teachers, and we're going to go with 2 books. We have an elementary book and we have a junior high book. They both fall under the same theme, which I'd love to tell you about, but I can't share that information, or I will be in a lot of trouble, because that will start in the week of January 31st. There will be some clues and some activities and things leading up to the launch, when the book will go out that Friday. I believe it's February 4th. And we timed it at this time this year because February is that month where a lot of people like, all right, other than Valentine's Day, it's just kind of, So we thought, what a great way to hopefully get some families together and just kind of build some excitement for our kids. So we are really excited to launch it. I will be talking to the board later about possibly recording some of the chapters for our kids. We know not all parents have the time to read to their kids, or might just not be able to read the book. And so what we want to do is have every single chapter video recorded. I was able to record 2 chapters over winter break. So we have, I think, about 5 more chapters we need to get done. So I'll talk to you about that later if you're interested. So, 4.6 is statement of economic interest from Cook County. Those of you who are new to the board, this is really exciting. This is a mandatory electronic form. It usually comes in late winter or early spring. It will come through your district email. As soon as we know those have been sent out, Lori will hound you because this one is actually really, really important. And please note that they don't tell us ahead of time, so you might get it and hopefully you don't throw it in the trash. But we'll remind you if you do, and you can pull it out of the trash folder. So, and again, Lori will hound you if it's not done. All right, 4.7, board discussion of the school calendar. This is the second year in a row. I don't have anything for you in January. Usually January is when we would first present it. We usually wait till 2/18 has it completed. See what Richard's calendar is, because we really try to line up at least the major breaks for our families so that if they are going on vacation or childcare, things like that. 2/18 does not have their calendar. They don't even have it posted on an agenda yet. But I do know right now they are going through their superintendent search. So I don't know if they're going to wait until that has been completed or what. So I've kind of been playing around with a few things just to get an idea, but we won't present it until we've seen 2/18's calendar. So 4.8 summer school. I figured we're above single digits. So let's talk about summer school today. And so last year we did a 2-week ramp up program. And my thought moving forward is to really expand on that and make it closer to 4 to 6 week program, where it would be Monday through Thursday for our kids, and they would go from 9 to noon. For our teaching staff that was interested in doing it, they would be there a little bit earlier. They would be there from 8:30 to 12:30, except on Mondays, we would have them stay till 1 and eat lunch, and we do some professional development. And we would really focus on reading and math, as well as I think it's important to have some type of movement component. If we can get one of our PE teacher to do like a small 15-20 minute with classes, and more like team building activities, but where they have to really move around. And so really what we see doing for this is in February, I want to survey the teachers to see who would even be interested. And I know that's a long ways off. Like you're still talking 3 months of working and not knowing, but at least to get a general sense of who would be interested. And then in March, really starting to get teacher input of who they think might need to take summer school in these 2 subject areas, because you really want to limit the class sizes to about 10 to 12 to make it effective throughout that summer. And once we get those teacher recommendations, then we would be inviting students and their families, and probably have a family night, because it's our first time doing it, to really explain how the program would work. And we are still kind of talking exactly where the best spot would be for that to take place based on what projects are going to be going on this summer. And like I said, I know January seems like kind of a crazy time to talk about summer school, but it does take a lot of planning. So that's why we're getting started on it now. So any questions on summer school? Okay. Yes, yeah, and it really comes from teacher recommendations. And I know Mr. Hilligans is also still talking with the co-op to see if they're going to offer summer school. They always have in the past until the pandemic. So we're kind of waiting to see.
Like the extended school year, because that was only virtual last year.
Yeah, so. Yes, we're trying to get a feel for what they're going to offer, and then decide like what can we offer if they don't.
Fantastic. That's great to hear, because I know there was a lot of families not happy with it out of our hands, but very, very nice to hear.
Yeah. And then math pilot, just kind of to keep you updated, we've been doing our pilot since the beginning of the school year for K to 5. The 2 programs that we've been piloting are both Bridges, which went from September to November, and then illustrative math from November to February. We did adopt illustrative math at the junior high level. This is the first year that they have been working through that. The program wasn't even completed for K-5 before when we did a pilot earlier for elementary. And so the committee really meets once a month. They fill out rubrics and kind of share how it's going for them. And then our hope is during the February study session that our committee will be able to make a recommendation to the board with a planned vote in March of what we would like to see for the following year. That gives us enough time to hopefully order all the materials and get them in before summer break is the goal. But it doesn't always happen depending on the supply chain. So any questions on the math pilot? All right, and then that brings me to other. I didn't put this on the agenda because when the agenda had to go out on Friday, I had no clue where we would be COVID number wise and all of that. So I knew we would do this under other, but I just wanted to kind of share out where we are as a district. Right now, or last week, we had 33 positive students and 7 positive staff. Many of those tested positive in our shield testing on Wednesday, which was within the first couple hours of students even being at school. So I think it's kind of hard that first week to judge, like, how's the spread in school. I think this week and next week especially will give us a better handle on, all right, are we seeing it all in one class? Is it really spread out? We are still, well, I checked my phone at 6:14 before we started the meeting. It looked like they had just thrown it up on the website, what the updated quarantine and isolation guidance will be, but I have not been able to confirm that. But basically a broad understanding of that, once our district has a chance to look at it and really put those updates in place, is that the 10-day quarantine becomes a 5-day quarantine for those who tested positive, with the understanding that they need to be able to be masked at all times. And then at lunch, if they're going to be at lunch, they have to be 6 feet apart. I know some districts aren't able to have students at 6 feet apart. I remember when we did our planning, that was a really big deal for us to make sure they were 6 feet. So we are 6 feet apart. I think in the short run, this will really help get some of our staff back if they're feeling okay. If they have symptoms, they are not allowed to come in. Someone did ask when we were on the call with the Cook County Department of Public Health, well, if we're seeing numbers so high, why are you making this decision right now to all of a sudden half the quarantine? And she just answered political. It's something we're going to continue to monitor. Most of the districts that I've talked to see when they've closed, their staff it's been about 25 to 35% of their staff has been out due to COVID. We are not near that number right now, but it is something we watch every single day. I've just been really proud of our staff. We've been back to school now just about a week, and really, really proud of that. This week we have we've had 8 students so far in the district test positive. We've had 9 have to quarantine for close contacts outside of school. And we did have a classroom that had 5 close contacts in the classroom. They're very young students who just can't wear their masks as much as the other classes. So we're going to keep looking at it all the time. And I know some parents get very frustrated getting my emails every day with the cases. And I know other districts have kind of gone away from that. I don't think that's the time to do that right now. I want to be open and transparent as much as possible with those numbers, just so people can make the decisions that are right for their family in terms of their own kids. So any questions on that?
I have a question. So you indicated that the language states that it can go to 5 days if they're able to wear a mask the whole time. So you mentioned that there are students right now who are on quarantine based on the fact of like unmasked. Now, would those students qualify, or someone who has a mask?
Even if you have a mask exemption, you would still not, you have to be able to wear a mask.
Okay, so they would not be able to do the shortened 5 days.
Correct.
They would have to go the full 10.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And
or
again,
the younger ones who cannot.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that was what I was curious about. If that's a decision we have to make.
Yeah.
Or if that's already in the language.
Yeah, and I haven't seen the official one, but everything we've heard that they absolutely have to be able to wear a mask to be able to.
At all times, except for eating lunch.
Yes.
With 6 feet apart.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you for
And
clarifying.
yes, and then just so I know I've gotten some questions like, well, what happens if you do have to shut down the school? And so we've gotten pretty good clarification. So we have our 5 emergency days, which we have e-learning, which we can do whether it's a snow day. You can also use that if we had to go, all of a sudden I get a call tonight, we have 15 staff who tested positive. We would be able to move to that. The other option is to, in coordination with the Cook County Department of Public Health, you could go on an adaptive pause and move to remote learning at that time. I don't think anyone wants to do that right now, but it's something we have to watch, and at least now we know what our options are. So.
And would it be building based or district?
Yeah,
If one goes, all
yeah.
goes?
And you don't have to do it that way. And actually the county does not recommend that it could definitely be building based, but it would have to be looking at the numbers all over the place. So.
Which makes so much more sense.
Mhm.
Why do it for every building? So just to clarify, I know, but e-learning does not mean synchronous. So if we had to use an e-learning day, it just means a teacher would post lessons.
Mhm.
The synchronous type of, digital learning
Yeah,
that they did in
yeah.
the past, that's only if it's approved and it goes for that adaptive
Yeah.
pause.
Yes, yeah, if we went on a much longer adaptive pause, you would see more of what you experienced last year. If we use an e-learning emergency day, because it's an emergency day and we're telling people like right at the last second, like that's when here are your assignments. Teachers are going to be working on stuff for the other days when that's going on. All right. Well, and welcome back again. I'm going to turn it over to Kathy.
So 5.0 school business official.
Thank
report.
you. Okay, good evening, everyone. Okay, the first thing I wanted to talk about is our capital projects. And last week, we opened 3 individual bids. And overall, it was a very competitive and a good response from the companies. The first one was the mechanical unit replacement. And those are the units at Ridge Central. And the lowest responsive bid is Helm Group, and their bid was in the amount of $308,000. And that bid was actually much lower. We originally estimated $406,347. So that bid came in roughly $100,000 lower. The next bid that we opened was for the flooring replacement. And that's going to be replacing some carpeting, putting additional tile where carpeting is being removed and things like that. Now that lowest bidder was TSI Commercial Floor Covering, and the bid was for $338,700. Now, unfortunately, the estimate on that was only $241,000. So that bid was actually 40% higher than we estimated. And the reason for that is the cost of labor is significantly going up. And so we did talk with Corey, who we do have here in case we have any, real specific questions, because we posed a question to Studio GC. Do we do that project now, or possibly do we push it forward with the hopes of getting a better bid? Well, their response was, we are one of the first ones to put a bid out there. So it is probably most likely as competitive as it's going to get. So the recommendation for that bid is to approve it and have that work done over the summer. And now the same thing with the masonry. Masonry repair at all buildings. Our lowest responsible bid was Grove Masonry in the amount of $398,000. And the estimate was $295,000. So that was an increase of 35% higher than projected. Now in masonry, if you can imagine, it's all labor, it's very, very little supplies. And again, in speaking with Corey, it's their recommendation to move forward with it now. There's really no reason to push that off into next year. We don't feel like we will be in any better financial position. We had a real good group of companies put in bids, and this happened to be the lowest. So we will be asking the board individually to approve all of those bids. So before I move on, does anyone have any questions or any very specific questions on those projects?
I just had a question, but I just wanted to clarify that I am.
And Joanna, I'm sorry, can you take yourself off of mute?
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I just wanted to clarify before the vote that I'm the spouse of the vice president of this company and the daughter-in-law to the owner of this company. So I will be recusing my vote for this particular.
Thank you, Ms. Grove. And I just wanted to let the rest of the board know, we did reach out to our attorney who looked through kind of all the Illinois statutes and as well as all of our policies with nepotism, everything like that. He said this is completely above board, that we are good to go if that's the way the rest of the board decides.
Okay, thank you for that statement. Okay, the next thing on the agenda, I just really wanted to let the board know that when we return on Tuesday, January 18th, we will be returning to hot lunches. Believe it or not, the kids are looking forward to their hot pizza and chicken nuggets. I know Dr. Thorne's had a meeting, his student advisory with the students said they wanted hot lunches. I met with the lunch hostess staff who had said the volumes are down. The students are not taking as many cold meals. So it will be a transition period. The administrators are going to be working with the teachers because we need to still maintain social distancing. Some kids will be eating in here, some will be in the classroom. So just a heads up, it probably will have a couple of bumps in the road that we do need to work out, but I think it's a real good thing and our kids are looking forward to it. Yes.
Will the cold lunches still be available too?
No, great question. The question was cold lunches available? We originally thought of giving a half and half menu because our philosophy is, well, let's pick the best of the hot and the best of the cold. But quite honestly, the feedback from the lunch hostesses is no cold food. The kids really just aren't liking that very much. Now, that being said, after they get bored of the hot meals, we could certainly transition to that. Okay, the next thing is the IRS announced the standard business mileage for 2022, and that will be 58.5 cents per mile. And that rate is up 2.5 cents from last year. And then another announcement, the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, which is our pension for all our classified staff, that employer contribution rate is going down. They work on a calendar year. So the 2021 rate was 8.36 and 2022 is down to 6.25. So when you multiply that difference by our classified salaries, it's a decrease in cost of approximately $31,000 for the district. So that's a real big win. The second quarter township interest earnings for the quarter, which is the fund balances managed by the township treasurer, were $44,000, and the corresponding expenses for those was $17,373. And then the last thing I wanted to talk to the board about tonight is a resolution to adopt the TRS Supplemental Savings Plan. And TRS is the pension for all our certified staff. And the Illinois School Code is now requiring TRS to offer its active eligible members an additional contribution or savings plan. It's going to be a 457B, which it's totally voluntary, and it is different from a 403B. There are some difference in contribution amounts, and when you take your distribution, there's a couple tax consequences. And any full-time or part-time employee who's certified is eligible to apply. And this process actually started back in 2018. And it's taken TRS, because it's such a large undertaking, it's actually taking them now until this is up and running. And TRS contracted with Voya Financial. So the district itself is going to have a very limited participation. All of the work is going to be between TRS and Voya. The district is responsible for withholding those employee contributions and sending them to TRS. And it's really a nice vehicle because it just gives employees another vehicle to get some tax deferred income, or I'm sorry, wages. And so the goal of TRS is to start those contributions in March. And I do say goal because keep in mind, this is years in the coming, but that's what they're telling us. So we're doing everything we can to be ready for that. Does anyone have any questions on that? Okay, that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
All right, so 6.0 old business.
And then, so we have
6.1, the potential board action to adopt or post for a second reading, the following policies. And we talked about these at our December meeting. And I would recommend that we go ahead and adopt those. We did not have any public questions or any correspondence since the last meeting. And so I would recommend to adopt the policies with the administrator's recommendations as listed on the agenda.
I will make a motion to adopt the policies. listed.
Mrs. Lebudzick? Mrs. Lammle?
Aye.
Ms. Joy? Mr. Malkowski? Mrs. Grove? And Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye. We are down to
7.0.
new business?
Yes. 7.1 is a potential board action to approve total board member expenses for the annual I conference, which was held November 19th, 20th, and 21st per board policy 2.21125, board member compensation expenses. And you'll see in your packet is the table listed below, which represents the grand total for the 3-day conference. Do we have a motion? Ms. Joy? Mrs. Grove? Mrs. Lammle?
Aye.
Mrs. Lebudzick? Mr. Malkowski? And Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
7.2, board action to approve contract with Helm Group in the amount of $308,000 for mechanical unit replacement. Mrs. Grove? Mrs. Lebudzick? Ms. Joy? Mr. Malkowski? Mrs. Lammle?
Aye.
And Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
7.3, potential board action to approve contract with TSI Commercial Floor Covering in the amount of $338,700 for floor replacement.
I'll second.
Mrs. Lammle?
Aye.
Mr. Malkowski? Ms. Joy? Mrs. Grove? Mrs. Lebudzick? And Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
7.4, potential board action to approve contract with Grove Masonry in the amount of $398,000 for masonry repair and maintenance. Can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Ms. Choi? Mrs. Lebudzick? Mrs. Grove? Mrs. Lammle?
Aye.
Mr. Malkowski? And Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
7.5, potential board action to approve mileage reimbursement from 56 cents to 58.5 cents per the updated IRS guidelines for 2022.
I'll second it.
Mrs. Grove? Mrs. Lammle?
Aye.
Mr. Malkowski? Ms. Joy? Mrs. Lebudzick? And Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
7.6, potential board action to accept and implement the strategic plan for 2022 through 2027. Mrs. Lebudzick? Mrs. Grove? Ms. Choi? Mr. Malkowski? Mrs. Lammle?
Aye.
And Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
7.7, potential board action to adopt the resolution authorizing execution of employer participation agreement for supplemental savings plan through the Teachers Retirement System of Illinois. Can we get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Malkowski? Mrs. Grove? Mrs. Lammle?
Aye.
Ms. Joy? Mrs. Lebudzick?
Aye.
And Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
Okay.
So we are moving on to 8.0, meeting reports.
Have anything?
Nothing. 8.1, other.
Nope.
No.
No.
9.0.
9.0.
I do have an
informational.
other for 9.1, just very quick. We have been able to schedule another vaccine clinic over at Ridge Lawn School. That will be held the first time on January 19th, followed up on February 9th. It will be from 3:30 to 6 that day. They will have the Pfizer vaccine for kids 5 years and older. And I have been told they will also have booster shots of both Pfizer and Moderna for adults. So we are going to be sending that out. I know Lon has already sent it out, and I plan on getting it out tomorrow to the rest of the community. And so we hope that we'll be able to get some more people signed up for that.
The first time that you had that, was it mainly students or was there a lot of?
It's been mainly students, and then we've had our staff, but mainly students. We've had a couple trickle in here and there of community members, but not too many
Some
adults.
parents, I know some parents who did
Yeah.
get their first numbers of going.
Yeah. Everyone is welcome, so.
So we are now at 10.0, which is the opportunity for visitors to speak. 3 times, right?
No, you're good. This one you only have to ask once.
All right, that's it. You're done. Okay, so 11.0 is the next one, which is president's prerogative. And I'm not normally the president, but since Nancy's not here, I feel comfortable in speaking for her and behalf of the board on a couple things. This is just a really, really crazy time right now. And just from seeing Adam's reports with staff and people out, I just know that I want to kind of give credit to the admin in the buildings and the teachers who are wearing so many hats to fill in so many jobs right now. You know, when there's admin out, there's other admins stepping in, teachers helping other teachers out. So, you know, they say it takes a community, and it really does. And I appreciate, and I think we all do, we appreciate the community that is at all 3 schools with the admin and the teachers supporting each other. And I just hope you realize how appreciative I know I am as a board member, but also as a parent, for everything that everyone is doing. And I also have to kind of commend everyone in the district, because it's a really difficult time. And I know myself that I'm focused on COVID and pandemic so much that the district is moving forward with a 5-year plan and trying to not just focus on the problems, but think about the future and improving things, and, you know, where we might have deficits, and just continuing to grow and evaluate our holes and look at our strengths and negatives. So I just think that that's a great thing as well. And I also just want to say, I love the fact that they're differentiating the book, that junior high is going to have something a little bit more maybe challenging. So for the 1 book, 1 read, and I would love to read the whole book out loud. People love my voice, trust me. Okay, that's it. Thanks for letting me talk for President's Prerogative. All right, so we're going to adjourn the closed session 12.0.
Yes, for the discussion.
However, a meeting to consider an increase in compensation to a specific employee of a public body that is subject to the Local Government Wage Increase Transparency Act may not be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with this act. The Open Meetings Act, Section 2C1, the discussion of collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or the representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for 1 or more classes of employees. The discussion of pending or probable and imminent litigation against, affecting, or on behalf of the district is defined in Section 2C11. And the discussion of minutes of prior meetings lawfully closed under the Open Meetings Act is defined in Section 2C21 for the purpose of review, approval, or release of such minutes. We have a motion to go into closed session. We will not be discussing any security issues or student discipline in tonight's closed session.
I'll make a motion.
Mrs. Grove. Ms. Joy. Mr. Malkowski. Mrs. Lammel.
Aye.
Mrs. LeBudzik.
Aye.
And Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye. So 7:19. I don't know if I can do this, but
Okay.
we will.
All right.